We are closing out 2025 with what might be the most explosive diplomatic and religious bombshell of the year. If you thought the tension in the north was cooling down, think again. The United States Congress has just entered the chat, and they did not come to play. We are talking about a direct, no-nonsense call-out from U.S. Representative Mary Miller and her colleagues that has effectively shattered the silence on what is happening to Christians in Nigeria. The headline is screaming radical Islam, but the subtext, the part that has everyone from Abuja to Sokoto sweating, is the finger pointing at the leaders who have denied this reality for too long. And who is at the center of this storm? The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III. Here's the gist. Just days ago, Representative Mary Miller stood on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives and backed a resolution, HRES 866, that essentially declares Nigeria a killing field for Christians. She didn't mince words. She called it one of the greatest moral crises of her time. She cited statistics that would make your blood run cold. Over 50,000 Christians killed since 2009, with thousands slaughtered in 2025 alone. She explicitly named radical Islamic terrorists like Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Fulani militants as the perpetrators. She called it a slaughter. She called it a campaign of religious cleansing. Now, why does this land on the Sultan of Sokoto's doorstep? Because, my people, you have to look at the timeline. You have to connect the dots. Just last month, in October 2025, what did the Sultan of Sokoto say? Standing before the world in Benin Kebbi, the spiritual leader of Nigeria's Muslims looked into the camera and declared there is no record of genocide against any group in Nigeria. He challenged anyone to prove it. He said reports of religious targeting were false. So we have a situation here. On one side, you have the U.S. Congress and Mary Miller saying this is a genocide, this is a slaughter, and radical Islam is behind it. On the other side, you have the Sultan of Sokoto saying, no, it's not happening. Prove it. Well, Mary Miller just brought the proof. And this is where the support allegation comes in. Critics are now asking, if the most powerful traditional ruler in the north, the man who should know everything happening in his domain, is denying the killings that the whole world can see, is he not effectively shielding the perpetrators? Is denying the fire not a form of supporting the arsonist? Let's go deeper. The resolution by Mary Miller doesn't just talk about bandits, it talks about a systematic agenda. And while this agenda is wiping out villages in the Middle Belt and the North, what has been the Sultan's biggest war in 2025? Was it against the new terror group Lakurawa that has taken over 5 local governments in his own state of Sokoto? No, his biggest war was against social media. Yes, you heard me right. In April 2025, the Sultan declared that social media is a terrorist organization. Think about that for a second. The US says radical Islam is killing thousands. The Sultan says social media is the real terrorist. The disconnect is so loud it is deafening. The narrative being pushed by Mary Miller suggests that these killings are not random, they are ideological. And when you have leaders who refuse to name the ideology, who refuse to admit that radical Islam is the engine driving this violence, they become complicit in the eyes of the international community. The US resolution is calling for President Donald Trump to take decisive action. This could mean sanctions, this could mean visa bans for leaders who are seen as tolerating religious freedom violations. And if the Sultan continues to maintain there is no genocide, while Mary Miller is presenting evidence of 52,000 dead bodies, he might find himself on the wrong side of US foreign policy very soon. And let's not forget the chaos in Sokoto State right now. The Lakurawa group, an affiliate of ISIS, is operating freely in the Sultan's backyard. These are the radical Islamists Mary Miller is talking about. Yet, instead of mobilizing a spiritual war against these extremists, the narrative from the palace has often been to blame the military or blame social media fake news. This is why people are reacting in fear and anger. They are seeing a pattern where the victims are gaslighted, told that their slaughter is not genocide, while the leaders play politics with their lives. This HRES 866 is a game changer. It vindicates every widow, every orphan, and every displaced person who has been crying out. It says to the Nigerian government and the traditional institution, we see you, we know what is happening, and the bandit excuse is no longer working. The question is, will the Sultan retract his statement? Will he finally admit that his subjects are being slaughtered by the very radical elements Mary Miller has identified? Or will he double down and risk being labeled as an enabler of this terror? The streets are talking. They are saying that silence is support. They are saying that denial is support. And right now, the Sultan's denial is clashing violently with Mary Miller's revelation. I really want to know your take on this. Do you agree with Mary Miller that radical Islam is behind a genocide in Nigeria, or do you stand with the Sultan that these reports are exaggerated? And does the Sultan's denial make him responsible for the continued violence? Drop your comments below. Let's unleash the truth. And please, if you want to stay ahead of these international developments that our local media might be too afraid to touch, you need to smash that like button right now. It helps us break the algorithm. And if you are not yet subscribed, click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We are tracking this US resolution and the reaction from the palace, and you don't want to miss the next update.